Author and intimacy expert Laura M. Brotherson, host of the Marital Intimacy Show, educates and inspires women to create a mutually fulfilling, intimate, and passionate marital relationship, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually.
Hi there. Welcome to the Marital Intimacy Show, available at themaritalintimacyshow.com. My name is Laura Brotherson. Thanks for tuning in today. Well, we get to talk about sex today. How fun is that? The title of this episode, number 42, is 5 Key Times to Talk to Your Kids About Sex, Part 2. So let's get started. So, this episode is a continuation of the 5 critical times that you gotta be talking to your kids about sex. We've already talked about number 1, the good touch, bad touch talk that's gotta happen definitely before kids go to school and should be even earlier. And number 2, the before age 8 or age of accountability talk. And number 3, before puberty. So now we're going to continue on with number 4 and number 5, which are the before dating and before marriage times. So here we go. All right, number 4 is before dating. So it depends on what your dating standards are for your kids. But for example, in the LDS faith, dating is reserved for the age of 16. But this is a very important time for parents to get in there ahead of time before dating starts to reinforce your standards for behavior with members of the opposite sex in this dating kind of situation. And also to help your kids combat the temptations that they've probably already experienced but will continue to and even then some. This is also a time to reinforce the goodness of those sexual feelings, but that the challenge for youth is to learn to master them and to develop self-discipline so that those feelings don't overcome you and begin to control you. And there's all kinds of important things to teach kids about and prepare them for. For example, dating is a time to really get to know someone and begin to see what kind of characteristics you're looking for in a future spouse. You'll want to address issues like date rape and the slippery slope of intimacy when you allow yourself to get into certain circumstances and how easily those romantic feelings can become more physical than you might have planned. You know, I think it would be super fun and helpful to role play a lot of these common scenarios or a dating situation with your teens. I think it's a great idea for parents to actually be the first one to take their child out on a date. So if you've got a son, it's the mom, the mom takes that son out on a date. And just a fun mother-son or a father-daughter date to just go through what might happen and to talk about all the scenarios and it can be a great experience and a great preparation for them. Okay, so lastly, number 5 is before marriage. I think this is the one I most look forward to and so important. So you hear all kinds of sad scenarios about kids that are getting ready to get married and their parents ask them, the night before they get married, do you have any questions, son? Or do you have any questions, daughter? Or they drop off some little booklet or something on their bed, a week before they get married. I mean, I definitely say, if you're going to drop off a book before your kids get married, definitely give them my book and They Were Not Ashamed. But how much better for a mother or a father or both, depending on the situation, to really have a great conversation about what it takes to have a mutually fulfilling sexual relationship in marriage and what kind of things to be prepared for on the honeymoon. A lot of people get a little few tips from a friend or a sibling, but boy, I just really look forward to taking my daughter out on an overnight getaway maybe, and, maybe she's engaged, and going through chapters 3, 4, and 5 in my book with her, which goes over the intricacies of the female sexual response and the differences in sexual wiring between men and women. And even same with my son, if that's how it works out, unless my husband wants to do that, or we both would. What a fun time to really be able to talk about and fill in all of the blanks of what you have left unsaid up until when they actually need it. So just boy, this is such a huge part of marriage, is the sexual relationship. And for our kids to be so poorly prepared for it is just mind-boggling to me. So this before marriage talk is a whole new animal. It's a very different conversation. You know, this idea that kids really just need this one big talk to prepare them for marriage or to teach them about sex, just erase that from your mind. It's 5 big talks, or, you know, they don't have to be big talks, but 5 talks that are really each very important in their own right, and they're all very different for very different purposes. So obviously it's going to take having a really good relationship with your kids to have such a candid how-to kind of discussion with your kids before marriage. But I hope that every parent listening to this will shoot for such an occasion with each of their kids. I think that's fabulous. I would consider that just the greatest thing if parents began doing this as a normal part of preparing their kids for a wedding, for marriage. It's not just all about the wedding, but it's about the honeymoon, and it's about the sexual relationship and the entire marital relationship. So just a couple final thoughts. All of these discussions and these key times and what and how you talk to your kids, you need to take their personality and such things into account. You know, some kids just will not ask enough questions for you to provide those answers and that information that they need. You're going to have to take the responsibility for preparing your kids for intimacy in marriage and for teaching them about sex and provide opportunities for those conversations to occur. One of the best ways to help kids make it through the teenage years without getting messed up in all the sexual problems that often occur with a lot of kids is to provide sexual information. Information is powerful. It sounds counterintuitive to some people that talking about it isn't going to make them want to go out and do it, but that's not what the studies show. Is that if you'll talk to your kids about it, then the curiosity doesn't get them and the mystery doesn't consume them. It's so important that parents talk to their kids about sex at these 5 critical times: before school, before age 8, before puberty, before dating, and before marriage. It's important to remember that your child's sex education and their sexual attitudes are happening from the moment they enter this world. And one of the keys is for you as the parent to get your act together sexually so that you're a good example of healthy, positive sexual attitudes and so that you can teach them comfortably and confidently. Please don't miss these wonderful opportunities to build a relationship with your kids and to help them and be so much better prepared than many of us were going into marriage. Well, there you have it. I hope you will take the opportunity to talk to your kids about sex at these 5 vital times. You don't want your kids getting their sex education and their sexual attitudes from the world. They need and want to hear it from you. This has been episode number 42, 5 Key Times to Talk to Your Kids About Sex, Part 2, on the Marital Intimacy Show with Laura M. Brotherson. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back next week with more great insights for strengthening your marriage. And be sure to check in at our website, strengtheningmarriage.com, to learn more about strengthening your marriage intimately. And if you haven't connected with us on Facebook yet, be sure to join us on our Marital Intimacy Show page. We hope you will share the Marital Intimacy Show with others. And be sure to click on the like and share buttons on each of your favorite episodes. Can I just say one more thing? I love date night. I sure hope you are all getting out with your sweetie every week. It's the best. Until next time, this is Laura Brotherson with the Marital Intimacy Show. Have a great day and make yours a great marriage.